Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Latterline? He's thinking about going himself. Latterline and Latterline! Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
They want to Benjamin. Just holding off him. Benjamin twisting, turning, that's
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope, guys. Count it. You got 4 fingers. Count it. There's 4 people on your screen for the first time in ages. Craig, you're back and with a bang. Hibs 3 in a row. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm back. It's been nice. My first game's back and I've seen 3-1, so happy days.
Nice. I'd make a joke about some of the stuff we joke about, but then Peter would be all over us, so I'll skip that one. Liam, got to be happy after the weekend day. Good vibes.
Aye, no, really good win. Maybe not the best performance, but a really good win to back up, two big wins in the sort of 7 days before that. So aye, very content with where we find ourselves currently.
Hey, and I don't know why I should have thrown this one to Liam because he was the one that came up with it. But you and the joyful Kilmarnock twos, it's a stroke of genius, isn't it?
It is. Liam had his shreddies on his Weetabix this morning to come up with that early doors.
Like I come up with the title every single week. You mean?
I did the 32 one. To be fair, that was a bit of me.
I mean, at the end of the day, Harry, look, at least they contribute somewhere, right? That's the. No, but look, a very good performance in spells, but a very good week. 9 points in 7 days. Probably not quite hitting the heights of that week last year in terms of the maybe the opponents that they came against, but a very, very enjoyable Christmas and New Year period following the Hibs.
Indeed. And Chris Black is first in the comments saying, what you got, evening boys, nice to see a full compliment. It's great to see you back, Chris. And John, lovely to see you as well. He said, fuck's sake, Specky, even though it's not my fault and I dispute that. However, I like to think of us as the knowers of ball. A lot of people, including ourselves, will dispute that. However, one thing that we have always held firm in is our love for the man of the moment, the man of the match, Ellie Youan. Craig, what was the initial reaction to him being on the team sheet?
I was happy. He's been in good form, so get the guy in. Let him play.
For sure.
It was a given, wasn't it?
Aye. Any other thoughts on the team? I know I said if it's not broken, don't fix it, and then proceeded to change about 3 players in the team. But it seems to be ticking well at the moment. Liam, I know the first half, we played pretty well, quite dominant, especially in the first 20, 30 minutes.
I mean, you asked the first question was thoughts on the team. I was very surprised seeing another than senior Hoylett starting. That is not a front three I ever really envisaged playing for Hibs. Hoylett, Youan and Cleege. Certainly not starting a game. I think the jury's still out on whether or not it was an effective front three. But I think you saw, as you do at this time of year when there's quite a lot of games, just a bit of Christmas time, New Year rotation.
Indeed. And I feel that Ellie Youan's always at his best when he plays with players, though, that he can kind of quickly pass the ball in and make a quick move and get the ball back. Like him and Maulida was always quite tidy. And I think him and Jamie McGrath, that seems like it's going to be a really good combination. It's annoying. We're at the stage, Ewan, of the season where Ellie Youan's come in and we're like, this is the solution that we've needed to all our problems so far. Are we falling in love again? And are we going to get heartbroken once again?
Absolutely, that's absolutely gonna happen. And the cynics in our support will make you aware that there's a transfer window that's just opened up. How is it convenient timing? No, but I find that point is quite interesting though. I think Ellie Youan wants an element of trust, of understanding of that player being on his wavelength as well. I think he plays a game where you can see that he has favourite teammates, and certain teammates will get the ball from him more often than other teammates will. And Jamie McGrath certainly is one of them. I think Junior Hoylett's another one, and Cleege. He seems to be linking up quite nicely with him. But just to go back to your point about the team sheet, I think the Youan thing's not a surprise because obviously with Boyle's injury, he was pretty much and Cleege was limping at the end against Aberdeen as well, so it felt like Youan was probably the dead cert up front. Campbell missing out entirely was a surprise, and I suppose maybe Hoylett playing instead of maybe 3 natural centre midfielders is maybe was an indication of where David Gray thought we could kind of get on top of the game early doors against Kelly, and obviously we very quickly went to do that.
Nice. And Liam, just also mentioning Hoylett, do you reckon he's broke the Space Jam curse yet, or is the jury still out?
Jury's still very much out on that. I need a larger sample size. Thank you very much.
Indeed. And Craig, we were talking about how Ellie Youan has his best mates. Another comment there from Chris Black has seen folk on Twitter that think Youan's popular amongst the rest of the team, and he agrees. Did you expect that he'd be making best friends with Dan the Man Barlasser, who put the ball in for the corner that Ellie Youan scored? Is that his first header scored for the club?
I actually wasn't sure when he headed it in, because I said to my dad, who was at the game with, I said, "Fucking hell, Youan scoring my header, like that doesn't seem right." But it's a good header. I don't know if you've got anything to comment about the ball in, Harry, by your man Dan. It was what a ball. What a player.
Like, see, the thing is, for me, I just like to keep my agendas going. He was too scared to take a corner, so he had to pass the ball out and take it on the second. Like, come on, let's just put it straight in the mixer here. I'm sick of short corner. And it was a very good ball into the back post. And apparently Mike is in the comments saying that he scored a header against Aberdeen a couple of seasons ago. I'll believe Mike. I don't need verification for that.
I feel like he'll have done his research on that one, to be honest.
Aye. And Liam, it set, like, we started the game very well, and then we just dominated the first half thereafter. It was nice to see him score and not just back off the game completely.
Aye, we did that. We controlled the first half, to be honest. I think the only frustration was that we didn't get another goal before half time. Youan, who felt like he was involved in everything, kind of quite inexplicably passed up a chance by taking it on his left foot. It was quite a bizarre finish. We were talking about, so maybe I'll touch on it. I mean, the game perfectly encapsulated his time at Hibs for me. He scores 2 goals, was brilliant for the 2 goals that he scores, but his actual performance outside the 2 goals was really quite poor.
It was really poor, mate. It was really, I thought he was thinking outside the goals, to be honest.
Really bad. Like, the 2 chances he missed aside, running out of play, dribbling into traffic and not coming away with the ball, like, inexplicable, but he scored 2 goals. And, you could actually say he was both poor but also man of the match, and that he did win the game. Like, but
if you score 2 goals as a striker, that's job done, isn't it? Really? That's what you're there to do.
Well, Ellie Youan as a football player is everything that Harry McCurdy's personality would have you believe he was. Like, bit of maverick, and because the guys are right. Like, Youan wasn't great Saturday, but he scored 2 goals. Like, and that's that is like, what more do you want? Like, I'd much rather that than someone. I'd rather see Ellie Youan do that than Dylan Vente just mark a centre midfielder at the pitch or at the game. You know what I mean? Like, strikers score goals. He scored 4 in the league now. He's hardly kicked a ball a season. He's hardly played. Like, just let the man cook. Let's be positive.
Still, Vente said something disparaging about the town of Alloa or something. Because you genuinely want to slander Dylan Vente every week on this.
No, mate. It's just, it was the first striker that came to my mind that just kind of ran about. I know he started. I don't know why. It was the first striker that came to my mind that just ran about and didn't score.
Mind
many
the pop
goals.
that Youan had at Vente when he left. Like, it was, he was absolutely brutal after he left.
Mine did miss on opening day last season. I would you fucker.
It's funny though how non-football moments can impact. I'm completely derailing us, but I actually think that my opinion of Dylan Vente was higher because Craig and I went to Luzerne, and that's when the Dylan Vente Hibs number 9 song kind of got big, and it just kind of, every time I think of Dylan Vente, it still resonates with a happy feeling. But back to Hibs in a less lovely than Luzerne, Kilmarnock. They had a big boy up top who wasn't very good at football, but just kind of, he didn't really out-muscle people. He just kind of berated the ball off of them multiple times. That John Jules ended up having a pretty good game. I can't think of any other examples, but is that just an example of physical strikers doing well against the Hibs defence? Because it's pretty much the only thing they've done was lob the ball at them, and it worked quite well to get them back in the game.
Mate, it was a nuisance the entire time, and I don't know if it translated over the mainland Europe stream, but every single time he was backing into a striker, he was tugging on the centre half's top, and he had the centre half's top down by his side basically, so it was kind of pulling him with him. I don't know if you mind, was it Piaggio for Hearts that was really good at that, and he would just back in, pull the shot, and then fall over and get a foul off the back of it, and it would pull the defender down and kind of make it look as if the defender was fouling him when the defender could be doing nothing with his hands in the air, and he was just he was bullying the centre half a wee bit at times, but to be honest, it wasn't overly effective in what he'd done.
He is just another one of that Kilmarnock production factory of big physical English lower league striker. They lost Kyle Vassell a couple of seasons ago. They signed him. They signed Marcus Dackers, who's about 7 feet tall.
I think he's a bit better than the one that played at the weekend.
I don't know, mate. I don't rate John Jules at all, based on his English lower league exploits. But I think saying that Dackers is better than anyone is a bit of a stretch, to be honest.
Hey Harry, I thought that John Jules was fucking useless. I know he scored, but that was entirely of our own doing. I thought he tried to play on O'Hora a lot in the first half, and I thought O'Hora dealt with him really well. I think a sign of a striker like that that's struggling in the game is when they start losing their shit, when they get fouls given against them or don't get fouls because nothing else is coming off them. And I thought O'Hora had a really, really strong game up against them on Saturday. I think he got like the club man in the match as well. I think I seen that on Twitter after the game, I don't know how it works for away games, like it's a sponsor that give it or something. I'm not quite sure, but he definitely got should have seen that. I thought O'Hora played really well up against them at the weekend, and obviously the guy got his goal, but it's not like he done anything particularly good for it. Do you know? I know that's sounds so harsh. I think Hibs just defended it really poorly.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I was actually, before we come on to the rest of the goals, I was actually going to touch on O'Hora at the end, but since you mentioned him, and J-Star's commented there, O'Hora has been very, very good this season. I know it's something that we've touched on a couple of times, but I think we should go a bit more in depth. I think he's taken a step up from his performances last year, and there was a massive void left when Miller moved on, and a lot of people were concerned that we didn't have the right player to fill that. And I know he's a very different player to what Miller was, but I think in that right centre-back position, it's not a worry for me at all now, and it was before we kicked the ball off competitive football. So for me, I think O'Hora's done a great job.
Can I come in there? So I think he's having a good season. I still think we have a right-hand side problem, though, that hasn't necessarily been filled since Lewis Miller. Warren O'Hora is a better defender than Lewis Miller, but he doesn't offer you nearly as much going forward. So I think Warren O'Hora is a perfectly capable right-sided centre-back. A good one even, but if you're playing Warren O'Hora there, I think you need more from your right wing back. So and so this isn't necessarily a criticism of Cadden or O'Hora, but we either need someone more in the mould of Miller that can play at the right of the free and off you more going forward, or you need better at right wing back. Do you know what I mean? I think it can be either of the positions, but I just think that side of the pitch we still need just a little bit more in the final, in the attacking half of the pitch.
I would actually argue this season that O'Hora, on an individual basis, has been better than Lewis Miller and consistently better than Lewis Miller, but Miller provided a better balance because him and Cadden could dovetail perfectly and swap about, and like you say, going forward, he does offer a heck of a lot more than O'Hora does. That's not O'Hora's fault. That's just the player he is. But I've gone on about him earlier this season. I think he's been absolutely excellent. I really do. I think he's been one of our best performers on a consistent basis. And at the moment, I would say he's not far off. He's certainly in the conversation for your player of the season so far.
Oh.
No, he is, mate. Who's
in the conversation? Definitely. I'd say it's between him, McGrath, Mulligan, and probably the goalie.
Definitely.
So
I've definitely gone behind Dave Free. That was the three that would have went straight to Matt. That was.
But he's in the conversation for it, definitely.
But if you look at McGrath, McGrath's been good over the piece at Hibs, but I think his form has really upticked over the last sort of 4 or 5 games. Up until then, would I have said he was in the conversation? Probably not. So there's probably a wee bit of recency bias creeping in. now you're reading Twitter and you're seeing Jamie McGrath is the best free signing in the history of Hibernian Football Club. It
Should be in the Scotland squad.
It does. What?
Have you not seen that?
Have you not seen that?
God. You've not missed out.
You and Cameron on his podcast today said Jamie McGrath's knocking on the door of Steve Clark's Scotland squad.
Dafty's called you, innit?
Don't put much strength in accuracy.
That is incredible.
He's got his spelt Ewan. His Ewan spelt weird though.
It's spelt very, very incorrectly. Sorry, Liam.
Maybe McGrath's Irish and McGrath is Scottish. I don't know.
What I know we're talking about the right hand side that I had. I know we're sort of digressing a little bit there, but I noticed that Jane Sandy just sent a wee comment in there about Megwa. Do you think we're better with Megwa on the right hand side or Chris Cadden currently?
It's difficult to say. I don't think that either of them have really dictated results. It's hard to say because obviously Cadden's had a couple of performances this season that have been really bad. I think it's fair to say. He's had a few performances that have been good. But Megwa's came in and the teams looked better. But it's one of those ones it's hard to tell if the teams look better because he's in that position or not. So at the moment, I think Megwa's got the starting position until he loses it. I think he's definitely been good and impressed since he came in, but I think it's difficult to say that he's been. That's like, I just don't know how much better he's been than Cadden would have been in those games, if you get me, because the whole team had momentum in those games as opposed to just Megwa kind of taking over, which normally happens when people put that praise on.
Maybe pose this question in a different light then, because I would lean that Megwa's probably better defensively and Cadden definitely doesn't offer you as much going forward, but. Have we seen enough from Megwa maybe that would suggest if we lost a centre back or something, we could go to a flat four with him as a proper right back, and maybe like Obita as a left back? Do you think you've seen enough in that of him defensively that would be an option if we did, if we lost a centre back to injury or anything?
I just think it's hard to say he's been good at right wing back, so I'd be comfortable with him at right back. Like I've just not seen him in a flat four at Hibs, so I don't know if I'd. Like you just, as Liam likes to chime, you need the sample size to be able to pass judgment on whether you'd be happy with something or not. What do you think, Ewan? Because I feel you've got an opinion on it.
No, I don't. I just seen some of the comments coming in on him, just because obviously we're talking about doing something on the right hand side, and I suppose I've not really been his biggest fan probably up till sort of this limited things that I'd seen of him in a Hibs top and spelt bits of like when Partick were on like the Friday night games and stuff last season, but I think he's done well. Like, and there is obviously maybe a little bit. You don't want to like put blockers in way for sort of younger players. Getting into the team as well. If we bring in another player on the right hand side, is that that's someone else that jumps above him in the pecking order, and is that right when he's not really done anything wrong? I don't know. I think it's an interesting sort of debate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's because he has done well. Like, he definitely has done well. I still don't know if long term.
I've not seen enough of him going forward really to evidence. Both on his loan spells in the Championship where he played, right of a back three or right wing back and even right back at times for Airdrie. I've not seen enough of him going forward to suggest that I would be happy with him playing that position, but I've probably not seen enough to the contrary either. Like, he doesn't really strike me as a type that would be the sort of overlapping right back for a right-sided midfielder who's going to cut inside. He hasn't even as further forward as a wing back hasn't even really offered that option, to be honest. He's where he receives the ball is typically a lot deeper. I do like him as a player, and I think he's a good defender. I do question whether or not he's kind of one of these players. He's kind of caught in between. He's not really tall enough to play centre back, but he doesn't really offer enough going forward to play wing back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sorry with you. There's been a little bit of conversation in the chat there. Just flashed him up on the screen that maybe he is getting into positions. I think he's probably got in positions, but just. And I suppose you're never going to feel like he's going to do it, and maybe until he does do it, because you've not got that evidence. But I just thought it was an interesting point. Obviously, I was cautious that I'm talking about. I think we need to do something on the right hand side still, and I am aware that obviously you want to see your youth products come through and have a path into the team, and if you bring someone in there, then that's it's just going to stifle that. But sorry, that was a total.
I'm going to jump on it actually. The thing that I noticed, contrary to a few of the comments in the chat there about the Aberdeen game, I thought the biggest thing I noticed in that game, I thought it probably his best game, Megwa, individually. But I thought his starting position was far too deep most of the time, and I don't know if that's maybe a wee bit of a nerves thing and not wanting to expose himself by going too high. But I thought maybe the next step for him is to get that wee bit of confidence to start a bit higher. And oftentimes the ball's going into midfield and they're looking out for that option on the right-hand side, and Meg was just 10, 15 yards too deep.
It could be about balance as well, Craig, though, because you've got McGrath playing much higher up on the left-hand side now. Not everything's going to be symmetrical. So if McGrath's playing a lot higher, you would have done that in the olden days, right? If you were playing a 4-4-2 with a flat back 4-2, typically one of your full-backs would go and the other one would sit. And I wonder if maybe it's more about instruction than anything else. But I do agree he's taking the ball he generally receives the ball in too deep an area to really harm the opposition, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't want it to come across as a negative thing, by the way. He's done very well when called upon in these last 4 games. Like that's the number one point there.
Yeah, no, for sure. But moving back to the game itself, it's a shame he got subbed off as well, because I actually thought he was having a really decent game. I thought he looked really sharp at the start, and I think sometimes when you make a sub early on, it can kind of like shake the team a bit. And I think Kilmarnock, that's when they kind of got their foothold, is when he went off. I don't think it's because Cadden was particularly bad. I just think it's because the team looked a bit disjointed compared to what they did before.
I thought Cadden's done well.
Nah, I disagree. I thought Cadden was poor, to be honest. I thought he was poor. I don't know if that was purely in my mind impact at the start of the second half, but I felt like any time the ball, or we were getting the ball at the start of the second half, it was just going to Cadden. He was just shelling a poor ball down the line. I thought the ball didn't stick to him a lot of the times. I'm a Chris Cadden fan and I've been an advocate in the past, but to be honest, I thought he was poor at the weekend, and I actually felt we were a lot stronger with Meg on the park. I felt like he was dealing with the ball better and was winning a lot more duels as well. Cadden felt like he was maybe just half a yard off the pace when the ball was kind of dropping into 50-50s. But I don't know if that's also a consequence of just the team in general was playing better when Meg was on the park, and that makes his individual performance look a bit better.
I do think there is also the fact that it was the third game in the space of 7 or 8 days, and he's not exactly been a first team regular this season, Megwa. So I do think third game in space of 8 days on a plastic pitch, I don't think it's any coincidence that he went off with what sounds like shin splints. And Iredale also going off with an injury. I won't go on about plastic pitches, even though Harry absolutely loves that chat. Just all I'll say is I'm quite glad that's probably the last time we're going to have to play them on that surface. See that they're doing a bit of crowdfunding to get some pennies in for it.
Mate, you missed that. Obviously we were all watching on the
Mainland
from Mainland Europe, and the Kelly adverts at halftime were glorious. You can buy a square of the virtual pitch to crowdfund for their new pitch. Robbie Dees is alive for an Oscar, by the way. That man can do everything.
And the thing is, Craig, you couldn't even choose your spot. They just randomly allotted you a part of the pitch virtually that you're not even allowed to walk on. So yeah, terrible.
Can we talk about Ewan's favourite centre half just for a minute, just because he got mentioned there? Robbie Dees, genuinely, what an absolute nuke of a performance. For the free kick that Barlas ends up having quite a good effort from, this actually flows quite nice in play. He has about 4 nibbles at him, and just can't bring it down.
I was red in the face when that was happening. Like the blood vessels were absolutely busting out my head at that stage. I was raging.
That's one of them where you've seen like in the past where at the start of a Premier League season, there's like a new instruction to referees or something, and they'll give like 2 yellow cards for the same incident. Like that, there was like 3 or 4 attempts at a book in there. That,
the
if
first
that
one was just a swipe.
He's shite.
It's so bad, mate.
Really not good at the whole football thing, unfortunately, for Mr. Dees.
But he does have a career in acting, so that's the main thing.
And we all have our backups.
They at one point had 3 separate players with double-barreled names on the pitch as well. Did you notice that? They had Shillity Brown, they had Shawning Larson, and Tyrese John Jules. I think that must be a record for the most double-barreled names players on the pitch at any one time.
Yeah, I don't know if it came across the telly, but one of the players, when he got subbed off, it sounded like he got booed. The right back, number 3, I'm not sure his name. But when he
Thompson.
got subbed off, the Killie fans were booing.
He was,
Or not all of them.
He was scrapping with their fans a couple of weeks ago, so it wouldn't surprise me.
He was awful.
Right.
He
So
was
there's maybe a wee bit of a
absolutely
thing there.
awful as well. Well, we're just doing a review of funny Killie things. Can we talk about it's not in sequence as well, but the defender's challenge to bring McGrath in for the penalty, and then he puts his hands on his head like he's surprised.
What you mean? Got a ball!
It's the most stonewall penalty I've seen this season, and he's like, "Oh, can't believe it! Can't believe it!"
And if we're going over stupid things as well, the Kilmarnock commentary for the most blatant red card in the history of
my
time.
God.
Oh, he's hardly even caught him there.
that's
Excuse,
funny.
Sir, look at him. And my favourite thing about the commentary, though, is at least on 4 occasions, Craig, I'm sorry, this is the one time you should have went to mainland Europe for HSE. The main commentator would say something, and you could hear the co-commentator sigh and correct him with the truth, and it was so fucking good. And it happened about 4 times, and it was amazing.
There was definitely one of them that actually one of them was quite balanced and quite fair, and but I think it was the main guy who just wasn't having it. Like the co-coms after like half an hour was like basically said, "Fucking hell, we're lucky to still be in this," and the other guy's like, "No, we've been class for 10 minutes here, you know." My favorite, my favorite thing with like football fans is see when your team's been getting battered for 15-20 minutes and then you have a good 5-minute spell, but then you talk about being like, hey, last 10-15 minutes we've been right back in this game here. You've had a corner. Like, anyway, Liam mentioned a nice transition, and I'm going to get us back on track here, Harry. That Josh Mulligan run kind of kicked our arses into gear, didn't it, to sort of get the game going again, and eventually scored the 2 late goals.
That was the change, mate. At the game, I said to my dad after we scored the second goal, I said that Josh Mulligan run changed everything.
100%.
It changed the entire momentum of the game at that stage. And sometimes that's what just picking the ball up and running forward ultimately, because that's what he does. It's obviously not as easy to do as it looks because more of them would do it, but just maybe takes a wee bit of bravery and a wee bit of drive, and he just picks the ball up and completely shifts the team sort of 30-40 yards up the park, wins the free kick, and then we get obviously a chance off the back of that with a free kick.
Sorry, Chris is just mentioning all about the commentator saying that Mulligan basically fucking put his heat into the cunt's leg. Sorry. I thought Mulligan had been quite poor to that point actually in the game. Certainly one of his poorer games. I actually thought he'd been quite ineffective, and I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd actually been subbed at that point. I think had that Megla injury not taken a slot off of us, I think he might have actually already been off the pitch. But I suppose that's why you keep him on the pitch, because that is the moments of quality that can flip the games. And obviously getting McGrath back into the middle of the pitch as well, you've seen the benefit of that for the second goal as well, Harry. It's I mean, we said it after the Aberdeen game, Ellie Youan, coming on and running it, just carrying the ball and running at defenders, they panic. That's and there was 2 great examples of that at the weekend.
And what you got? Sometimes my takes age horribly, and sometimes they age very well. And I was messaging you guys weeks on end when I wasn't on, saying, I don't know why you keep saying we need to drop McGrath. He just brings goals to the team. And since then, he's literally just went on a diabolical tear of just decimating every opponent, whether he's in the middle of the park, whether he's on the left wing. And one final funny moment for the game I need to mention is I didn't initially celebrate Ellie Youan's goal, and I cackled when I saw the replay, and their player was on the 6-yard line, like in line with the 6-yard box, and Ellie Youan was onside by about 4 yards. And I was like, I can't believe he's offside there. And I was just like, that is so fucking stupid. Can I get the game? Did you think it was going to be offside, or did you see the guy at the back post?
No, I didn't see him. I was waiting on a VAR check. And then when you watch, I'm sure it's a new signing, the guy that had not long come on that plays him onside. Not a great way
so
to start
deep,
your new club, is it?
Like, honestly, like I actually think that's in line with like a goalkeeper parrying a ball to a striker. That's how bad a defensive play that is. Like, there's no justification for being that far behind the ball.
Also, I don't know if it was covered in any of the breakdown after the game on Sports Scene or whatever, but goalie.
What is the goalie doing, Tom?
So bad.
I wasn't after Ellie's first touch at all. I wasn't convinced that ball was ending up in the back of the net, if I'm being totally honest. But and I mean, I thought we were entirely comfortable from 2-1. I know they then went down to 10 men, but even when we went 2-1 up, I thought we'd see out okay, to be honest. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yes.
Yes.
But let's wrap up the Killer game by talking about the wonderful final goal. Liam, talk to me about Raphael Solinger and how happy we are that he is a Hibernian Football Club player.
It's just brilliant from it. Notice that it's on. I mean, it's as a goalie, you have to tolerate getting those screams all the time from the fans when it's no on. They scream, "Fucking play it early!" And you as a professional footballer usually know better than those in the stands whether it is on or not. This time he spots it, it's on, and it's just very well weighted, isn't it? It gives Jamie McGrath a chance ultimately, and he gets himself in a really good position. He's maybe not the quickest player in the world, but he gets himself into a good position, and then he ultimately, just makes the defender do something quite ludicrous, really, to be honest. I mean, there's no way in God's green earth that doesn't result in a penalty when you go around like that. I mean, you even if you had 7 feet long legs, you're going to bring the man down. Like it is a penalty. And then he steps up and just does what Jamie McGrath does and just takes a very composed, comfortable penalty, strokes it past the goalkeeper, 3-1, 3 points up the road.
The first touch for McGrath was just so good, absolutely sublime, so good to set himself up for it perfectly, because he almost like, I don't even know how to describe it, but the touch is like a slice touch because there's backspin on the ball and it just smoothly just puts it right into his path. Like you say, Liam, the guy, I don't know what he's wrong with it, because he does win the ball, but he comes through McGrath to get to the ball. He wipes McGrath's legs out and then gets the ball.
If we're gonna give it like an ounce of, like, I think it's still a challenge he has to make. I think he had, like, especially now that you're not getting sent off for it, because McGrath's probably going to score. You chance your luck that the penalty's saved.
I don't know. I don't think those, from that angle, I don't think, a really high percentage of those end up in I would suggest there's a higher percentage of penalties scored than there are goals from that angle. If only there was a statistical measure that we could use that would back that up.
See that decision actually only getting a booking. Obviously, you're saying that would have been a red card back in the day. Why is that not a red card? Is it because they deem that as him making an attempt to play the ball?
Exactly that, yeah. So if
I just don't think that can be deemed as an attempt, because it just goes right through him.
It's definitely borderline, isn't it? Like, it is definitely, like, and this is where it kind of falls down. So if he pulls him, it's a red card, but because he cleans him out, it's a yellow card. Like, it's there's definitely a discrepancy there, isn't there? Like, but it's that was borderline attempt to play the ball, I would suggest.
A couple of things on Jamie McGrath. One, he shows his versatility as a player, because he's not the type of player you would expect. Like, if you're hearing the goalkeeper's going to bomb the ball up the pitch, he's probably not the player you're expecting to run onto it. And then secondly, like, do you reckon he just like studies where goalkeepers dive before games? Because every penalty he takes, he scores a lot of them, but it looks like if the keeper goes the right way, it's easily saved. Like, we kind of saw it with the Butland one.
I just find that's his style. I think he just commits to a side and, like, maybe tries to wait as late as possible. But I don't know about that, Harry, because that's the first one that he's took that hasn't went to the left side. Maybe he's just changed. As much as studying where the keeper goes, he's aware of where he goes as well. Do you know, like, if you were looking at it purely from a statistics point of view, the stats or the data would suggest that Jamie McGrath was most likely to go bottom left there, as we look at it.
No, but what I'm saying with, like, the lack of power that he puts into them, because I just think it wasn't even like a particularly precise penalty.
He just sees the goalie go, just sees the goalie move and just rolls it the other side. I'm not going to, I don't know.
I would imagine it's a bit of both. He's a professional footballer. I think he probably would have done a wee bit of digging into it before the game, knowing there's a good chance he's going to be taking a penalty if Hibs get one. So I think he'll have looked at it before the game. But also, I think that's just his style, and he just waits on the keeper moving.
Uh-huh.
You see a lot of penalties getting taken like that nowadays.
Good penalty nonetheless.
Exactly. If it hits the back of the net, who fucking cares? 3 points for the Cabbage, 9 out of 9. Things are feeling rosy. Is there any performances we didn't talk about there that you want to bring up?
Yeah, man, Dan the man's getting a lot of love in the comments, Harry. Thought he started the game really well, faded a little bit alongside the rest of the team, and then kind of improved a lot in the second half when everyone else did. I think Barlasser is his performance was probably in line with the rest of the team. And I suppose you could look at that two ways. He plays well when the team play well, or do the team play well when he plays well? Do you know what I mean? Like, but he definitely started the game really well, I thought.
He started well, but then actually I'm going to kind of drop Mulligan in as well because I don't criticise him too often at all because I love him. But at the start of that second half, I thought the entire midfield was anonymous, barely touched the ball. And I thought at times, Barlaser in particular, when we were struggling, much to actually go back to with Cadden just shelling the ball down the line when we didn't really have any ideas. Whereas in the first half, it kind of looked like we had a plan and we were playing to some sort of structure. In the second half, I thought Barlaser, so many times I was like, mate, you need to offer yourself for a pass. There's one time in particular I remember where it was either centre half or the goalie had the ball, and a player went to press them, and Barlaser just kind of hid behind the player pressing instead of offering the ball. And I don't know
It's my biggest bugbear.
If it genuinely was him hiding or if he thought that was the way to offer the pass, but he should have ran the other way and been looking for the ball. And it was like almost a wee bit of nervousness about,
I think
if I get the ball here, I might lose it.
That's my biggest thing with players in that position, and Levitt can be quite bad for it as well sometimes. And maybe it is because they're expecting the ball to go to the wide centre back, and then that way they're showing for it in the middle. Like maybe that's an instruction on how to play through, but it certainly does my tits in when you feel like that's what you're seeing. Do you know what I mean? I think Levitt can be quite guilty of that when he's in the team as well. It's probably a byproduct of being in that position in the pitch as well, though.
Yeah, I would say I'm just going to touch on that. I think the likelihood with that point is that when the players in those positions are very much dependent on the momentum of the game, and if things are going well, they're feeling good about themselves and they're knocking the ball about well. When things are going less well, they're maybe less inclined to show for the ball and feel a bit less confident, which just naturally makes you hide away a wee bit more, I would say.
Aye. Other individuals, Harry. Salinger for his distribution, right? That's maybe didn't have much to do in the tip ways of saves, but proving himself in more ways than one as a goalkeeper. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's best goalkeeper in the league.
Not really much competition at the moment.
It's a pretty low bar, isn't it? But I'm struggling to think of anyone that I would contest that with.
Is it the Motherwell keepers had quite a good season?
Mate. Michael Stewart and Alan Hutton put him in goals for their team of the year. Because he can pass the ball. He chucked in about 4 goals at the start of the season.
Yeah, he started the season really poorly, and then obviously with Motherwell winning games and dominating games more has obviously looked better. I think the stats probably back up Salinger as well.
Jay Stars just said he's got the best shot to save ratio in the league.
Right. I mean, for me, it's not really even a question at the moment. In terms of form, I don't know if out and out he's the best or the most talented goalkeeper. That's maybe another conversation. But in terms of form, he's definitely the best at the moment.
Yeah, would agree. It's the XG prevented stat that he's number one on as well. I think, which is a really good indicator. Regardless of what you think of that as a measure, like that as an indicator, it does generally tell you who the best. It generally matches up with the eye test. Is what I would say when you watch some.
It strips out saving 30-yard pop shots, doesn't it?
It does, aye. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's brilliant. On just the other performances, I think it was encouraging to see Molotnikov get off the bench. I know it was only a very short cameo. He obviously had a hard time injuries. It was good to see him play. One slight wee note of concern, it's probably less of a concern now that we'll beat us back, but I don't think I want to see Zach Mitchell playing left centre half again.
No, thank you.
Ideally, let's keep the right-sided player, like right-footed players on the right-hand side. That sounds good to me.
There was just a clear unwillingness to use it wasn't necessarily. I mean, he didn't do very well for the goal, but it was just like, I'm not using my left foot, so I'm coming back in on myself here. Not for me. I think O'Hora could actually do a better job out there. I know he played as the left of the two a little bit last season when we played a 4. And if we really have to, then I would probably rather see O'Hora over there. Even Rocky when he's back.
Yeah, nice. Another performance as well. Just I feel like I'm going on all the negatives tonight, and it's maybe it's because he was good in the first half, but I think it's very clear, barring necessity, Hoylett is a 15-20 minute sub. towards the end because I thought his legs, watching him chase some of the balls was just sad, to be honest. There was a couple that if he's a few years younger, he makes them easily. Certainly, a number of players on the park would make them easily. It was making me a bit sad watching him try to chase the balls, to be honest.
He really pissed. Do you know for their handball? It definitely wasn't a handball. But somehow made the highlights anyway. Like, it really pissed me off with that passage of play. It was just such a half-arsed attempt to do something. I don't know. If he was to go in January, I would be particularly sad about it.
We were speaking about this at the Aberdeen game. I do wonder. I think he might leave. Canada. I think he was in the Canada squad in October or November, whenever the last one was, and just home World Cup and stuff. I think he'll probably want minutes. It wouldn't surprise me if he was away this window, just for his own, for his own sake, with the World Cup coming up as well. Wouldn't be a big shock. Harry, do you want to talk about Thibaut Clichy?
If you want to talk about Thibaut Clichy, Ewan's under the impression that Clichy doesn't want to be involved.
You've made this up. You've made that up.
It's literally the point I was making. I think Clichy has been given instructions to try and be as close to the box as possible and stick centrally. And I think when he drops deep, we don't have anybody else up top. I think that saying he didn't have an impactful game, I think it's a fair comment. But saying he had a poor game, I don't think he done bad things. I just don't think he was particularly involved.
It's saying, but if you spend 60, 70 minutes on a football pitch, you don't do anything overly positive, you don't make an impact on the game, isn't that the definition of having a poor performance?
If Ellie Youan in the first half puts the ball where he should when he cuts it back, Clichy has a tap in, scores a goal, and he's done his job. Like, what's Clichy supposed to do? Stand 5 yards deeper where he shouldn't be and score that? No.
But we literally just said earlier that out with his goals, Youan.
Out with his goals. But if he didn't score those goals, you'd be slamming
we said we said he didn't have a great game. But we literally said that.
But Clichy, as I said, point to things that Clichy done poorly, and I'll say fair enough. But you're literally just be like, Clichy had a bad game because he wasn't involved. So what did he do bad? Clichy had an impactful game.
Look, I could be totally wrong. I don't think he held the ball up particularly well when it came to him. I don't think he linked play great.
Did we sign him to hold the ball up particularly well? He's already
doing but that was his role on Saturday. He was the centre forward on Saturday, so I'm just passing comment on what I've seen.
Your mate Robbie Dees isn't very good at football, but he's about 3 times the size of Clichy. What's he supposed to do?
I don't know, mate. I don't think he was great against Aberdeen either. I know, and he scored against Aberdeen, and we spoke about that after. I want to see more. Like, I do. I think earlier in the season, the spells against Livingston and stuff like that, I thought they just looked better than what we're seeing now. I don't know. I don't think he's been overly great in the 2 games.
I was disappointed with him against Kilmarnock. I was less so against that. I thought he'd done well against Aberdeen, but I was disappointed with him against Kilmarnock. I just didn't feel like when the ball was played up to me, I don't think he should be used in the way that he's been used. So I agree with Harry on that. But I just would like to have seen a wee bit more from him on the ground when, trying to force things and trying to get himself into either across the defender or be an option over the top. When it's on, he has kind of one sort of half chance, doesn't he, from the throw in, which was a bit of a sort of sclaff, really. Wasn't really much on it. I'll be honest, I sort of land somewhere in between the 2 years. I'm not hitting the panic button by any stretch yet, but I do think he needs to have a sustained run of games with Kieran Bowie as his partner. I don't think him and Boyle or him and Youan are an adequate partnership for the kind of football that we want to play in the league that we play in.
But is he performing to a level that earns him that role beside Bowie?
I think if you look at his starting stats, yes.
Yeah.
I think Youan scores 2 at the weekend.
I like seeing players. I like seeing players that score goals. I think if you're to put him next to Bowie,
Youan scored more than him.
All right, well, he's not played next to, but that's because he's playing next to Clichy. I think if you give Clichy a run of games next to Bowie, I think he'll score goals. And I think there's a good player there, and I want to see him used. And I think for the most part, the reason that he's not being more impactful in games is because of coaching instruction. Like, I don't think he's being badly coached. I just think he's being told, try and stay around the box, try and like nick goals, put yourself in good positions to score tap-ins. And I think he does that well. If he's not getting the delivery to do that, as I say, like, please watch back the clip of Youan hitting it back. Like, if Youan lifts his head there, it is the easiest goal of Cleege's life. Like,
there definitely is a point in there that Ari's making. 100% is a point that Cleege's performances are definitely impacted by probably when he's starting with Youan or Boyle. He's been asked, because he's technically the only out and out striker that's actually played as a striker consistently, and maybe more so seen as a striker, because Youan really is more seen as a winger, and he's Cleege's maybe been asked to do things more that a striker would be asked to do, that if he was playing with a Bowie would maybe be doing a lot of these hold up things, and Cleege's maybe got that more free role to just dodge in and about and make runs in behind maybe. But also I think it's definitely fair to say that you'd be looking for more. I know I would be looking for him to be more involved. And I know, Harry, you're saying obviously it's not his fault that he's not involved, but I think when you spend that long in a football park, you should be more involved in that. I feel like you should be getting yourself more involved in the game.
I think that there's a real difference in what we've seen from him when he first came in against the likes of Livingston, where he was literally throwing himself about the place. Same as the next home game, I can't remember who it was against, but he was literally throwing himself about the place, was massively involved. And unless he's lost some of the motivation to be as like aggressive and as intense on the pitch, I think that the only explanation I've came to, because I don't think he seems like he's got a lack of motivation, is he's been instructed to be involved less. And I think once or twice he dropped back to try and get involved. But I just don't understand why he would go from this like kind of live wire that we saw him, we were really excited by in a couple of games, to, okay, I'm going to intentionally step off and be less involved in games. I just don't.
No, I think that's fair. I think I just thought it was poor, and I don't think he had a good game. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I wouldn't say that there's any sort of form of panic right now, but what I would say is that I think he is our fourth choice striker right now when everyone's fit, based on form. Obviously, Boyle's out, so he's for like, how long is how long is Boyle out?
No, we don't know yet. They said they would find out on Monday with him and Nicky Cadden scans.
I just would like to have seen a little bit more. I think that's just where, and I don't know. I appreciate what you're saying, Harry, but I think Bowie comes and gets involved in play and comes deep and links the game when he does that. Boyle finds himself deep. Ellie Youan's found himself deep. So, I just thought he didn't have his best game.
Can I just have one just last thing on Cleege before we finish up, and it's prompted by Chris in the comments talking about the number of touches he had. He had 28 touches against Killie at the weekend. He had exactly the same now touches when we beat Livingston 4-0 at home, 28 touches. But with those 28 touches, he obviously got a goal. Did he get an assist that day as well? No, just the goal. The goal that was the sort of mistake from the Livingston defender. I'll be honest, I'm not really fussed about how many touches Thibaut Cleege takes in a game. He's not the sort of centre forward I want to have a huge number of touches, because I don't see him as being the guy who's the link player in the system. I said it after the Aberdeen game, I'll say it again, I want him to be the guy that's making the run over the top, which quite often will be a decoy. It quite often won't be him getting the ball 30 yards out from goal. I want him to be the one that's closest to the goal. So I'm not overly worried about the number of touches of football.
We've seen enough to invest a bit of starting minutes in him now. I think he's shown enough that I think we can be willing to invest that time in and just give him a few games and just let him see how he is after another 5-6 starts, I should say.
Cool. But boys, I'm gonna move us on from Cleege. I'm gonna move us on from Kilmarnock. I'm gonna ask you a simple question. Can you guys smell that? Because I've been smelling it ever since Hibs finished that game and picked up another 3 points. I can smell the fucking fear out of the top 4 teams in the Premier League. I can smell that Aberdeen aren't feeling it. They've sacked their manager. I can smell that Celtic are fucking horrified, sacked their manager. Rangers, they're not on a roll. They can fuck off. Motherwell, you're fucked. We're going to take Motherwell to Easter Road this weekend and we're going to fuck them up. 3-0 Hibs. It's going to be beautiful. Oh, pass, press. Fuck off. Hibs are going to put a marker down and everybody's going to see the dominant Hibernian Football Club that's making a title charge.
Nice.
Just wanted to pull that out there.
Wow.
I don't know how confident I am in Hibs' title aspirations, but I do feel confident going into this game. I don't think that Hibs have given us any reason not to. I think it is fair to say that Motherwell are a pretty good side this season. Liam, to be fair, out of the four of us, you're probably the lowest on Motherwell.
I just think it's a bit of a, it'll be a fairly short-lived thing for them, and they will go on a run at some point where they'll stink the gaff out because they're Motherwell Football Club. I thought it was quite hilarious that SPFL Media Watch tweeted all the games that are coming up for the top 4 teams over the next few weeks, saying it's going to be a really interesting run in the title race. When we would literally go above Motherwell if we beat them this weekend. So I think to include Motherwell in the title race and not include us was maybe a bit of a misstep, but there you go. I suppose you can't include everybody, right? I'll be honest, I expect us to beat them on Saturday. I thought the game against us really went. I felt like the marginal calls, very marginal calls, actually felt probably one of them was wrong as well, went in their favour, and they profited off. I profited off that and went on to win the game quite comfortably in the end. But we still, had a pretty key chance just before half time. I think we'll get at them on Saturday, and I think we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them quite comfortably.
We're vibing. Craig, Ian, what are you thinking?
I'm not feeling particularly confident, and that's not because I don't rate Hibs. It's just that whenever I've watched Motherwell, I thought they've been excellent, to be honest. And I feel like they're a team riding a wave at the moment, and I think that's always quite a dangerous thing to come up against. They score a lot of goals. They don't concede many. Well, I don't know about a lot of goals, but they score enough goals, and they don't concede many goals. I heard a stat that they only conceded 1 goal in the last 9 league games or something like that.
They've not
was at
conceded
Ibrox.
since the 22nd of November.
So,
Ibrox, 1 goal since the 22nd of November. Sorry.
As much as I kind of do agree with what Liam says about that they will go on a bad run at some stage, and the whole narrative across Scottish football at the moment is that Motherwell are indestructible and the best thing ever, yet they're only 2 points ahead of Hibs, and they're still behind Celtic as well, and Celtic have been the worst thing ever, which always seems a bit bizarre to me. So I think it'll be a difficult game. I don't know if it's as much as a 50-50 game. Maybe it's more slightly in our favour because we're at home, and it should be more in our favour. But I rate a lot of their players, and the manager seems like he's got that wee bit of aura about him just now that he's confident, and it feels like it's his doing the reason that Motherwell are doing so well. But I think probably more if you dig into it, it's just a lot of players with a bit of confidence just now, because I couldn't believe it. I didn't watch the Celtic game; they beat them, but Stephen O'Donnell starting for Motherwell and playing well. Like, this guy must be a genius.
I think it'll be a pretty low-scoring affair that Hibs will edge. I think the first goal will be absolutely massive, given what Craig's just said there, like in terms of how strong they are defensively, and a lot of that will probably come from how good they are on the ball as well. So I think they're definitely not a team. I don't think they're a team that you want to be sort of chasing the game against. I think it will suit us though. I said the same thing before the game at Fir Park. I said I thought it would suit us trying to hit them on the counter, nicking the ball back. That night at Fir Park was probably the worst Hibs played since probably in 12 months, really, potentially since probably the Dens Park game last season.
No, that's shite.
Love
it away.
Love it away, Ben. Sorry.
This
season. Oh
no,
Motherwell was
far worse than that.
In my opinion, Motherwell was a lot worse than that.
If you had a meltdown after that, Ewan, it was so over the top.
that was a Ewan. That was a Wilson meltdown.
I just think perspectives are different when you watch it on the telly versus the game. Yeah. I thought Hibs just showed a real lack of anything that night, to be honest with you. But what I was actually going to say is I don't think you look too much into that, because I do think that's an outlier in terms of our level of performance, and certainly recently. I think Hibs will win the game in a tight, good game though. Good game, 2-1 Hibs is where I would go. And I think Ellie Youan will score again.
I echo you about the first goal being important, because what I don't want to see is them go a goal in front, us have to chase the game and watch Masvidisi run at our back line, essentially. I mean, he is a problem. You know, I know I've not been too hot on them, but they've obviously got a few players who are performing really well for them this season, and probably none more so than Masvidisi and the threat he provides. Do you want me to say now that I recommended we sign him 12 months ago, or will I save that for later on the pod?
Do you not think he's one of these typical like Motherwell, Kilmarnock, St Mirren strikers that's like a one-season wonder, has one really good season and then goes somewhere else and is absolutely...
But you didn't find out unless you sign him, Craig. So, you know, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, he's out of contract in summer.
Like Ronan Hale, guys like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to rescue Ronan Hale for League One? Why not Hibs? What a job Tony Docks did. I think it'll be a good game, though, Harry. I do. I think it'll be an enjoyable game. That I think one thing you can guarantee is moans and groans from the stands, though, when Hibs aren't dominating the ball like we probably would normally do against a Motherwell side at home. And I think there needs to be an understanding that also Hibs' strength is smashing teams on the counter as well. That's when we're at our best, when other teams are a bit more open and, you know, you can get Ellie Youan, Josh Mulligan, Jamie McGrath, you know, that is when we're at our best. So it might just play into our hands a little bit.
I do think historically as well, Hibs and Motherwell typically put on quite a good game against each other. I think I can recall quite a lot of like 3-2s over the years and stuff.
I feel like that's a Fir Park thing.
Plug the 6 each.
Oh, fuck you, Craig, mentioning that. The shudders at that game still sends down my spine. It is unhinged. Any changes to the starting lineup you guys would make?
Yes.
Take it away.
Wouldn't play Junior Hoylett from the start, I don't think. I would probably bring Jordan Obita in for Junior Hoylett and get Jamie McGrath back into the middle of the pitch. Whilst he's done superbly well at left wing back, I think you just get more out of him in terms of throughout the entirety of the game in the middle of the pitch. I would bring Bowie in for Clegy if Bowie's fit enough to start. And I expect Chris Cadden will come in for Kanayo Megwa as well. So what's that, 3 or 4 changes? That's where I would be going.
And I know it's a bit odd when a manager in a league that you play the same team 4 times in a season potentially reveals a big tactic. But obviously, Askew or whatever his name is said that their whole thing was just let Hanley have the ball and he'll make his own mistakes. Is there anything? Say that? Yeah, that he just said that they were happy for Hanley to have the ball as much as he wanted.
There was a wee bit of backlash after that.
I entirely missed that.
It was deemed as a wee bit
disparaging,
insulting towards Hanley, the established Scottish international, which I could never do, to be fair, and I never done that before he came to Hibs. Never once, but
I totally missed that. Fuck that little baldy bastard.
I called that out at the time when I was watching the game. I said to my dad at the time when we watched the game, it was like as soon as Hanley got the ball, the Motherwell players just disappeared from him and just did not press him at all. And we're like, on you go, they covered any options that were near him, like an easy pass, and then he was just chunting it long every time.
I don't think Grant Hanley do like a Paul Hanlon-esque like drive up the pitch when he just gets left with 30 yards of space in front of him on Saturday, like just go rampaging through the centre of the park. And then
do you mind when do you mind David, or if he scored, David Moyes like called Suarez a diver or something, and Suarez scored in the derby and just celebrated right in front of him.
That'd be class.
I know you like Liverpool, but we will not have any pro-Suarez propaganda on this podcast. He's all right.
Do you want to chat through some of the stuff that's been sent in for the Motherwell game in the comments? I can bring them up on the screen if you want. So the first one I had was a while ago. Just find it now, but is this Saturday the time to start Bowie and Clegy together? Obviously, I've said I would lead in Ellie Youan, but you guys.
Bowie and Clegy for me, yeah. If Boyle's not available, Bowie and Clegy.
Do you know, that's a tough one though. I feel like that's a tough one, and it kind of goes against the Gray usual mould of what he does with his teams in terms of playing players while they're playing well. And I feel like it's extraordinarily harsh to you.
Did he play well though, mate?
No, but he's got 2 goals. He's got 2 goals, and then he played well against Aberdeen. So is that not enough to keep your place?
I think his up against the team as organised as Motherwell are likely to be. I think in organisation you need to match them for organisation, but also for effort. And I love Ellie Youan, but I don't think he does both of those things.
And by the way, if I was taking form out of it, form, and then I'm obviously slating how we play, but if I'm taking that recency out of it, absolutely, I would play Bowie and Clegy. That's who I would go to first, definitely. But I just feel like Youan will feel a wee bit fucked off, basically, that he's got if he was to get taken out of the team off the back of playing so well against Aberdeen when he came on and then scoring 2 goals against Kelly.
So Chris is leaning towards Youan starting up there as well. There've been a couple of comments just kind of in on that Hanley up against their sort of forward options. Does that bring any sort of concern to you?
Was that Barlasser's first game, or was he at the club at that point?
Aye, he started
no
with a
game?
stinker of everyone else.
When was it?
Like 5 weeks ago.
Was it? I thought it was close at the start of the season. No.
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 It's at the start of
Right.
December.
That's a shocker.
That is a shocker.
In fairness, that was the game that was delayed. It was scheduled initially a lot earlier, but then it got delayed.
Thank you for covering me, Craig. But because I was going to say, like, surely if he had did Barlasser play that game?
Yeah, he was shite. Him and Mulligan were absolute.
Oh, Barlasser done nuke. Aye.
Yeah. Because I was going to say
everyone was awful.
I was going to say so did Nicky Cadden and McGrath. They both.
Oh, Iredale. Oh, right, no, enough in the last game.
Boyle with that sitter before half time and all.
Oh Jesus! It was the epitome of one of those games, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had an off day, and these things happen. We had to reshuffle when Hanley gets sent off. I've still not seen anything that definitively shows me there was any contact there. When Hanley gets sent off, we had to reshuffle. I think we brought O'Hora and Obita very soon after, and had to change things quite drastically. So,
yeah,
I personally don't have worries about Hanley.
Nor do I.
Nah, he's played at the English Premier League. He comes to be leaving him on it all the time in the English Premier League. Like compared to how guys play at that level versus the SPFL, he's fucking Beckenbauer on the ball compared to some of
Stephen O'Donnell and Paul McGinn.
Settle down.
Is Paul McGinn not a centre back now?
The Paul McGinn's been playing centre.
He's got guys like him playing unreal though.
Liam Gordon's at Motherwell, talk about leaving someone on it.
I
could leave him on it when no cunts on the pitch and they can't make me score.
Their centre backs at the weekend were Stephen Welsh and Paul McGinn. I think against Celtic it was Stephen O'Donnell and Paul McGinn. I'll be honest.
Nuts.
I know you guys are
nuts. By the way, that is mental.
He's got some bad juju going on. He's got voodoo dolls or something.
I know you guys
Celtic with Stephen O'Donnell and Paul McGinn. What the fuck is going on?
I know you guys are probably all leaning Clegy, but I said it before Aberdeen. Ellie Youan up against sort of Nicky Devlin is a nice sound. I don't know. I think Ellie Youan running at Stephen O'Donnell feels like something I could enjoy watching on Saturday. Harry, I know you're hosting, but there was just a wee comment coming there for Jason about Josh Campbell. Obviously missed the game at the weekend, but he's highlighting maybe Obita shouldn't have come straight back into the team. Didn't have his best game at Ibrox right before before AFCON, and if Campbell's fit and available, should he play in the middle with Jamie McGrath on the left hand side still?
I love Campbell. I'd start him. I'd get Campbell involved. Why not? And I do think that McGrath's just I think even defensively he's been really good when he's been at left wing back as well. I think it's something that everybody's mentioned how good he's been at taking on players and stuff. But I do think his work rate getting up and down the wing's been great. I think Campbell in the last couple of performances, as I always say with him, I think when he's hot, you just keep him going, and then when he kind of loses the touch, you take him back out again. So for me, if Campbell's fit at the moment he starts. I think it's a bit harsh on Obita. I think he's a player that can be relied on, even if he has a bad performance here and there. I'm still more than comfortable with him starting at left wing back. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. If I had to say who I'd rather start, I'd pick Campbell and McGrath at left wing back at the moment, personally.
I missed what you said. What is the situation with Campbell?
We don't know. We don't know. I don't think the club's mentioned it either.
Right.
I mean, according to Dave Graham, he was away siding for Palermo.
Very good. Me by 25 transfer rumour.
But we're on the stage of wrapping up because we're already over our usual time. But boys, give me a score prediction quickly. Craig, start with you.
1 each.
Boo, boring bitch. You went for 2-1, locking it in.
Yeah, locking it in. Ellie Youan and Keen Bowie.
Nice, fair enough. Liam, what are you saying?
3-1 Hibs, Cleese, Bowie, and McGrath.
Nice. I don't believe in conceding goals at home anymore, so it's going to be 3-0. The Cabbage are going to run rampant. 12 out of 12 is what I'm going to say next time we're on the pod, and it's going to be blissful. But speaking of threes, this is episode 300. Yeah, just thought we'd mention it. Thanks, guys, as always, genuinely.
Just for drop it in there.
No, seriously, for everybody.
Can I ask you a question? Because you started it, right? Did you, when you started this during COVID, when you had no other outlet really to talk about football other than in group chats and stuff with your mates, did you ever envisage getting to 300 episodes with a cast that has changed?
Mine Hibstery, where we got a random YouTube video. We would like hold the mic up to the fucking screen whilst commentary played from like a classic Hibs game.
Do you know, Liam? I think it's no. Look, the truth of the matter is no. The first episode I think we done remote, and then the first few episodes we'd recorded in my bedroom when I still lived at my parents' house. Me, Harry, and Greg crowded round a laptop without a mic or anything, and Greg was so conscious. Now, not that anyone would believe this, but Greg was so conscious over what he was saying that every 2 minutes, be like, "Oh no, shit! Pause that! I can't say that," and we had to pause the record, delete, edit out again. No, definitely not. 300 and it's 300 plus as well. You know, when you throw in specials and such like that. I was going to ask you all, Craig. Obviously, you're the newest member of our team, but what's everyone's highlight?
Forever, though.
What's everyone's sort of highlight of the pod been maybe so far? 300 episodes in. Maybe let's do I think everyone's off pod highlight would definitely be the Rangers semi-final, the day out that came with that and the bus through and such that we managed. But what would everyone's highlight maybe on pod if you had a thought?
That week definitely. The Dundee United, Celtic and Hearts in the 1 week. The vibes were so good then. It just felt like we were going to take on the world and beat every team in existence at that stage. So that would definitely be my highlight.
I'll come in now and I'll let you guys finish. My highlight, Liam, was probably about this time 2 years ago, I think, when we sat down with Mixed with Pat Line, and I really enjoyed that evening. I think I want to say I was early January. I
not got to mention I was on that as well.
Oh, were you? Sorry, I thought it was just the two of us. There was some debate in the lead up to that podcast around who was going to be on it and who wasn't. So I do apologise, Harry. I thought it was just the two of us. That might have been episode 200, actually.
I think it was episode 200.
Harry, Liam, I'll let you finish and then we'll wrap this shit up.
I've got one from before I joined, which is my favourite. My favourite one from before I joined is when Ewan said that Sean Mackey was a better left back than Josh Doigan and Stevens.
I don't think that is a misquote, by the way. That is an absolute misquote.
If only there was archives so you could go and find out. That is an absolute topper. I think my other one is a more recent one, and that is when Harry suggested Craig joined us, because Craig's been a great addition to the podcast, and I've really enjoyed having Craig on. But I do think it's quite funny that Harry found the only person in the Hibs fan base who's got a worse Guess Who record than he is to join the
podcast. Mate, honestly, see there when you were setting off, I was convinced you were going to say about Con. I was waiting on Con.
I missed that happen. Yeah,
I know. We need to get clippings of that when Ewan was like, Craig was like, we need to take the money that we tried to spend on McCowan. And I was thinking, he's going to say spend it on Triantis, and then he was like, we should spend it on Con.
Sorry if
it was the first one of the season against St Johnston.
He nearly scored from outside the box, though.
Another one that needs said as well, right? And they're not here to defend themselves, so I do feel it's a bit harsh. But a former parishioner, shall we say, and a regular guest who used to occur on this quite regularly, did a summer squad review, and I think their consensus was that Harry McCurdy just needed a goal. And I think that is, listen, every time I think about Harry McCurdy, I think about that comment that between the two of them, they said all he needs is a goal and he'll come good. So keep the faith, as they say.
Did you see his goal at the weekend, by the way? The goalie, just that was Kieran Slicker.
Oh, Kieran Slicker.
Is that the 21's goal?
Scotland. We played for Scotland as well. He got one cap, didn't he, in that?
Oh shit, sorry, did I? Right, Harry. Take us away with your memory of 300 episodes.
if we're having to slag ourselves off, I think my infamous that I didn't actually take back and I still stick to this day of saying is the reason that we're better at defending corners now because Christian Deutsch plays. I think that was excellent. And what's another? The last month that Craig being on, that's been refreshing. Just got a break for the dick. And what's I was going to say? Oh, you know what? It wasn't actually on YouTube. You know when we done the Twitter live when Harry McCurdy originally didn't sign and we were on for about 3 hours and we got everybody engaging. I actually thought that was fucking class. That was a really fun one. And that all whittles down to, I'll be nice and cringy, that all whittles down to the wonderful people that we actually have that listen to the podcast and put up with us week on week. So we say it every time we have one of these things, but we do genuinely appreciate you guys. If it wasn't for you guys tuning in, we definitely wouldn't do it. So
can I mention another one, Harry? Sorry.
Of course you can. Oh, shit. Oh, no.
When we sat down with the former CEO and you and said, Kyle McGuinness has made it chocolate.
No.
Something is being put about like George Street on a Saturday night and then went on to say something about Kyle McGuinness being made the chocolate.
Or wisely, Lee, we never knew you were going to be here tonight. So Ben, I'm just going to ask this question anyway. Why is Lee Johnson still got a job?
I had my questions ready. I was going to let him fucking stop me. Fuck's sake. Chaos as always. But guys, we will leave you there. We've all predicted, apart from Craig because he's being an idiot, we've all predicted a Hibs win this weekend. We didn't actually mention, we always try and give a shout out to the club when they do things well. I think it's fiver ticket at the weekend.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Massive fan of that. If you're against that, grow up. It's brilliant to see that we're making the game accessible for those that sometimes can't make it. So big kudos to the club, and it's paid off. Motherwell sold out their allocation. We sold out ours. It should genuinely be a cracking game between two of the form teams in the league. So with that, we will thank you and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Cheers.